Hi, welcome to another program. Today we change our things a little bit, the decor, let's say, and this is due to the reason that now I am starting working at home due to the coronavirus measurements, and I bring my also computer and laptops from the office to home. I don't have much place on my desk now. That's why I try to make it as much as possible comfortable for me. Sorry for the background, it's the curtains. I will try to make it better for the next time if I can. But I'm not going to talk about Corona this week or anything about Corona other than how it might affect the politics and the economy on the people. I'm not an expert on Corona and the disease. I'm not going to talk about how you should be protecting yourself. I'm sure that you have been watching tons of videos about it. But this week again, we will talk about the things that we know, we believe at best, about the politics, how the politics and what's going on with different countries, how it might affect the neighboring countries or the global politics in future. So this week what takes our attention is Russia. Russia has been changing its constitution. And there are some reasons for that. Are they do they intend to increase their strength, or do they intend to really protect it? Meanwhile, we will talk about this and how it might also affect its relation with neighboring countries. So let's start. What's going on with Russia? Now, it's more or less certain that Putin wants to stay in power up until 2036. Why? Because the constitution as of today lets them to, let's say, run for the presidency for 2 consecutive terms, and then they have to wait 1 term, and they can run again. But now, with the new amendments to the constitutions, a president can be elected only 2 consecutive terms at most, and for that reason they want to start or make the clock at 0 by 2024, when he will be finishing his, I think, 4th term as a president, and then he will be elected most likely again for 2 more conservative terms, which will be from 24 to 2030s and 30s to 36 later on. But why Russia intends to do such a change? What is their logic behind it? Now we have to look at for the what does it mean Putin at first? Putin, beyond or behind Putin there are lots of elites. He's not the only one who rules the country. There are a lot of forces, strengths that comes under him. We can group them like the military, like the oligarchy, and like the citizens or the public, and let's say the citizens. So in order to be elected, he has to merge all these demands under one control or one hand, and with the power of him authorized by the public, he's going to distribute them as much as fairly, let's say, to these groups, and he can really merge the demand and the supply, let's say, fairly between or among these groups. Let's say it's like the state, like the oligarchy, like the military, like the old KGB or FSR now, and the public. And he wants to make sure that, that's what we are seeing once we read that there will be 2 conservative terms for a president after him and no more. We do understand that after him, he doesn't want anyone to have all this power in order to derail the Russia or Russian economy or politics or even the military to another path. He wants to keep it and survive for a long time as much as it can. And that's why we think that he wants to establish all these, I would say, the columns or the power on Russia. and all these parties see President Putin as the one who can do that. So is it really aim is to increase the strength or the power or of Russia, not him, of Russia, or to remain or keep the loss of power? We believe it's the second, the latter one. Why? Because we have to also look at the demographics, the future of Russian economy, the military, the reforms and the technologies in military industry, the reforms in the technological development, are they successful or not, diversifying the economy. They are dependent on oil revenues, but they can't do more than that. What they have to, I think, or we believe that Russia has lost the opportunity to diversify its economy, which is what it should be, but they lost it because of the corruption within the state authorities and I will say they are very much, the oligarchy doesn't want to share too much with the public. So while we are looking all these things, we see that Russia is losing power gradually, and by time it will be 2030s or end of 30s, we will see that Russia and the gap between the Russia and its rivals, especially in Europe, it's Poland, and in Middle East, let's say, it will be Turkey. And that's why he wants to at least retain the force or retain the power in Russia. It's nothing to do with him. He needs to do that, collect the power in the state, so that the state can be defended well enough against its rivals. That's why the Russian public, the FSR or the old KGB and the oligarchy, including the military elites, do have the perception that President Putin is the one who can satisfy that. Now the question is, what can be done, or can he do that? In the short term, he would be successful to stabilize the economy and the politics in the country, despite the fact that the oil revenues are now getting less and less because of the dispute with Saudi Arabia. Now the barrel for oil is $24 around, and Russia is now going to lose a lot of blood for it. But despite the fact that it is going to be one day reverted back, Russia is going to lose more than that. Why? Because the demographies, number of population is coming down from 145 to 50s, let's say, to 130, 35 by 2040s, beginning of end of 2030s. First. Second, as we said, Russia has lost the opportunity to diversify its industry. It means that they are dependent to oil revenue, while the oligarchy is not willing to share it with the public. It will make the state less and less in power because of the revenues that they will get from the public, which means that all these economic resources will get less and less and less by time, not only because the number of the population is coming down, because they cannot diversify the economy, they cannot develop more technologies, they are only going to be still dependent to oil and the oil revenue or the gas revenues. That's why it will be much and much more less economic resources for Russia and Russian universities and youngsters. And also the Russian youngsters are leaving the country because they cannot see a foreseeable future in their country. In 1960s or 70s, there were very good Russian engineers who can sustain such technological development. But as of now, because of the corruption in the economy or in the state affairs, and also moreover the quality of the education is coming down because of the lack of resources, Russia is lacking of youngsters with good quality, and the ones who had the good education do not have the perception to stay in the country. They want to go abroad. That's why Russia is having lots of problems in order to retain its power in the region, and in order to retain the power they need somebody like Putin who can at least collect the power among the state authority as much as possible in order to defend the country against its rivalries, especially to Poland and to Turkey in maybe end of 2030s, let's say. We believe that. Is he going to be successful about it? No, he will not be. He can retain the power, he can collect the power around him, but he cannot change this destiny. It's not about his ability or inability. Much likely he has all the ability a leader can have. He's really good in order to protect his nation's interest. It's not about that. It's about the availability of the resources around him. And he's not a magician. He can do some, he can add more, but he cannot do all he wanted or required. And that will be the problem of Russian and the Russian economy and all these things around him, because he has to have all these resources around him in order to achieve the target that he set it for him and for the country, and to protect the country's interests or the Russian interests or Russia interest in future. He hasn't got all these resources. Economy is not good enough. Demography is coming down in terms of population. It will be less in GDP, less in economic revenue, less in revenue because the oligarchy doesn't want to share. They want to get more and more. It means that the economic power of Russia will come down. As much as it comes down, Russia is going to be weaker and weaker, because they have to sustain the life or survive, but they are not going to spend or share or do a lot of R&Ds or research and development, which is not going to be reflected to technological developments in military and civil industry, which is going to weaken in time the Russian state. That's the story, and I believe President Putin knows this, and he wants to at least protect this loss of energy or strength by time. That's why he wants to be elected again. At least as much as he can be in the power. That's what we believe. But again, we are going to stress that we do not believe that he can change the future of Russia, which is going to be ended up losing a lot of weight in the category. If you like this video, there is a like button under this screen. Please press on it. And if you would like to subscribe yourself to our channel, there's a subscribe button over there. So please press on it, and once we publish a new video, you will be informed as soon as possible. Thank you again very much for watching, and be safe over there. Thank you. Bye.